All right. Hello, I'm with Eva Caraballo, and we're going to talk about why some kind of new way of helping people transform is needed.
Beautiful. And I guess the root reason that I come to this why, because it took me 61 years to find the road and the tools and the methods and the intuitive side of me, combining it with the logical side of me, finally getting the combination that was necessary to get it together physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and be able to be happy and peaceful. And so now that I have it, I see other people with inspiration from different seminars and different books and different people, and they get all excited and they want to do it, but then it goes away. They don't have the tools. They fall back to the old habit, or they get disillusioned. And I want to be able to hold out my hand and help everybody on a daily basis to get through it with the positive affirmations, the positive knowledge, the knowing that they're truly beautiful souls. That's the why. That's the why of why do I want to do this? Because it took me so long to get here. I would love for the young ones, the little kids and the adults, to have a heads up and be able to enjoy life passionately and happily and peacefully, and really know what their soul wants and go after what they need and what they want and what they breathe, and be able to do it in a very peaceful, simple way. And what's beautiful is the universe is so simple that people complicate it so much. And sometimes it's just like to put a stop sign on their head and say, stop. I see you. I see where you want to go, and all you need to do is this. And so that's what I want to do. I want to leave my legacy behind. I want to give people my knowledge, my experience, and my hardships. I mean, I haven't gotten here without being scathed a little bit or a lot. And I think that's when you find yourself the best. But I don't want anybody to end up in the dark clouds of emotions and not be able to get out of it. And people do that. They make their emotions so thick that they can't even see out of them, and they can't even see where they're going. And it's so easy to just calm it down and make it just a little puff of smoke that they could blow away.
Oh yeah, that's great.
So
I could identify with both of those things, like the going to seminars and thinking it's all great, but then not applying it and going back to old habits, or just applying very little.
And then feeling bad about yourself because you didn't, well, wait a minute, I went through all that money and went through all that time and I didn't do anything with it. Or what's wrong with me? Or how do I get there? And there's easy answers. And I think the easiest answer and the hardest one for people to comprehend and to understand is that they are beautiful. They are perfect the way they are. It is perfect the way it's happening. And not this inside language, this inside conversation of always putting down and repeating things that they've heard about themselves. And it changes their belief system, and the motor, the engine that keeps people going is their belief system. And I can find the little nooks and crannies that have these balls of grease and whatever else stuck in them, and get rid of them. So their belief system could be free, and it's their belief system. It's their heart. It's their soul that they're speaking and standing in. And it's so important to do, and so difficult to use today's advertising or today's internet to get that message across. It's a very deep, one-on-one spiritual connection that people need. Some people find it in religion. Some people find it in community. Some people find it here or there. But they're just following the flow. They're not leading their
Well,
energy.
because it's such a kind of a difficult thing to get out through the normal channels, that's why this is the perfect place to do it, like soul to soul talk. So we'll continue to talk about this.
Yeah, I find it funny because when I've talked in front of thousands of people and single people, but in a public setting, there is less likely individuals to admit where they are, where they want to go, and how they might be interested in, because, well, I don't want to let people know that that's what's going on, or, I don't want to show that I'm interested because it sounds kind of crazy, or things like that. But every single one of those that I meet in the group will call later. I really need this, or I'm really excited about this, or can you help me with this, and can you help me with that? And it's kind of like this taboo, like socially, you're not allowed to be a spiritual, emotional human being. If you're not a robot, behaving like everybody else and walking to the drum.
Being cold emotionally, like not caring.
Yeah. And so I think the beauty about living 6 decades, and I've always done it, so I've been a weirdo all my life, but being yourself, being your true heart. And they used to laugh, well, you wear your heart on your sleeve and all those type of expressions. Yeah, I do. And so what of it? I'm happy. I'm being myself. I'm thrilled about life. And I want that thrill and the happiness, especially for the young kids. You see them, my grandchildren. I mean, the little ones, they, kindergarten, it's all fun and games and whatever. And they get to first grade and bombarded. That's it. They close up. Oh, no, you can't do that anymore. You can't be yourself anymore. You have to learn this for a test. You have to do this. This is what's socially accepted. Yeah, I know you used to be able to laugh in class. Not allowed anymore. We have to do this. So when I saw that, it broke my heart. And then it broke my heart to see.
It sounds horribly evil.
Yeah.
Taking away people's identity.
Right. And then I had I'll call it the privilege of doing online dating for a while. And I got even sadder because these are older individuals still living in this facade who are so empty and unhappy and so lonely and so desperate, and still living when they were 21 or 18, or the last pain they had, or the last emotional upheaval they had is still living within them. And so it's very difficult for me to see and feel these people, the young ones and the old ones, living in this cave of emotion.
I actually saw a graphic about that. It showed like men and women after a breakup, and then it kind of goes down on, for each one, like steps of like different amounts of time. So it showed the man, and then the next one after a bit, he's like in more armor, and then the next one like later, so 3 months or 6 months later, it's like even more armor.
That's great, yeah.
She grieves a bit, and then she's like eating cake, and then the next one she's like totally free, like that picture with the field, the lady with her arms back like that and the sunshine.
That's beautiful. Yes, that's beautiful. And so I think it's easier for women to cycle through and go through that road of emotion because they were always allowed to do that. But the guys, they were never allowed to, so they never walked that road.
It took me a few years on one of my relationships.
Yeah. And then when you got out of it, you had some tools, but do you feel that you have all the tools you need now for the next time it happens?
Maybe not totally.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. I think that's why I want to walk people through those situations, because I not only give them the tools they need to take care of it here and now, but the mental, spiritual, and emotional tools they need to be handling it no matter when it happens, no matter how severe, how less severe, no matter what happens, that they'll have the tools and say, oh yeah, I got this. I got this. And be able to look at it as it's a lesson. That's all it is. I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm lovable. I'm a beautiful soul. I came here with a purpose. And this is just a little bump in the road to teach me something else or give me another tool I need. And it's looking at that perspective that I help people get to. You know, you can't look at a perspective and say, oh, okay, you know, or go to a seminar and say, oh, yeah, I'm all excited, I'm all happy, and then leave and integrate it. You have to do it on a daily basis. You have to have that mentality on a daily basis. And nobody teaches you how to go home to your normal life, to the normal stuff that was going on. And now, okay, now look at all of it differently. Well, you can't just turn a switch. You got to be able to know, okay, this is what I'm dealing with today. Let me turn this switch. Let me change this first. And then little by little, incorporate the different things that you learned that excited you and that got you on the beautiful road. And then once you're excited, then you're self-motivated. You're an engine that could keep on going. You know, if you go back to that with that cartoon with the, oh God, this is decades ago, the little engine that could, you know, going up the hill and going up. I can't. Oh, I can. And then, oh my God, I did it. And then he rolls up and down the hills like it's nothing. And it's such a perfect example of what we do to ourselves, because we're doing it to ourselves. It's our own self-talk. It's our own self-image. And once I can show someone the soul that I see when I meet them, when I can have them look in a mirror and see what I see to be true and valid and beautiful, and then be able to say, I love myself. That is the answer for me. That if I can get them to the point where they can look in the mirror and see what I see and know what I know about them and be able to have all the tools in their pocket to go on, I think that would be absolutely perfect. That to me is perfection.
I love to hear your story, like of how you got here, why this is what you're doing now.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess as a little kid, because I had this intuitive ability, I thought every human being could sense how other people feel. And sensing how they feel, they would moderate what they say and how they behave. So I would look at adults and say, why are they acting like this? You know, like, why are they doing this? I couldn't understand it. And then I got to kindergarten and I realized, oh, I'm really weird, because nobody else can do this. Nobody else has the ability to meet somebody soul to soul and feel them and be able to determine the words and how they're going to approach this person according to where they're at, and say, oh my God, you know, like, how do these people survive? How do they communicate? You know, like, it became this big shock. And then I went and I got the degree I got my business degree, and then I got the healing touch degree, and I got a Reiki degree, master, and then I became an NLP practitioner. I became a minister, all to find the words to communicate what it is that I see and feel that they need to know to get to the next step. And then finally, after the 6 decades of saying, hey, you've had it all the time, you don't need to find the words, just do what you're doing. And so that's what I want to do. I want to do what I've always been able to do for those people who are ready to make a change. And it's funny. You know, like when you market something on TV and whatever, you're selling them dreams, you're selling them this, and and I'm not selling anything. I'm giving people themselves. I'm not selling you my stuff. I'm giving you you.
Well, that's freedom. I mean, well, it's probably more than just freedom, but it includes your own freedom to be
Yeah.
yourself. And
Yeah,
a
your
feeling
freedom
of,
from your thoughts, your emotions, and how to control them. And it's kind of like I wrote the book "Mommy Am I a Robot" for my grandchildren, and the essence was to teach them. We don't get a book that says this is how it is to be human. This is what the human body does. This is the feelings. These are the emotions. These are the mental things. This is how we put them together. This is how we can take them apart. So nobody gets this manual that this is how to be human, you know? And I really related to my grandchildren is, am I a robot? Because all we are is robots that we're programmed engines, and we put our programs in and we walk around like little robots until we realize, oh, I'm not a robot. I actually don't want this program. And I don't want to think like mommy or daddy or Johnny or Mary or Harry. I want to think like myself, and I feel it inside. And so, yeah, Mommy Am I a Robot is a perfect example of coming to see yourself in the mirror and saying, Mommy, I'm not a robot. This is me. I don't believe this. I don't believe that. I believe this. This is who I am. And standing up for who you are. So it's really full circle. Full circle.
Okay. One thing I'd love to do with you is if you demonstrate your gift, like with me, maybe if I read out these little stories and then you let me know what you think or
Go.
some kind
Yeah,
of
cool.
feedback.
Okay.
And another thing would be like a great challenge that you've gone through, right? That you've learned some really important lesson from.
Okay.
Which one would you prefer to do first?
You read.
Okay. I have two of these, so I'll read this one first, and then there's this from a brand new one this morning of a story, which is about nature. But you've heard this one before, so it's like introducing myself.
Okay.
I'm Bevan. I've sold my soul before. I've worked just for the money, out of alignment with my values of health and joyful living. I've also done something that I loved, following my excitement and using my natural gifts. I felt creative, enthusiastic, and productive all day. I believe that we're all made of love, and it's our birthright to be well, free, and abundant. So I've made it my mission to inspire humanity to be free, abundant, and united. Imagine for a moment a world where no one has to sell their soul to survive, where we all use our gifts, we do what we love, and we live with dignity, loved and respected for being who we truly are. This world is possible. I'm highly intuitive, and I love to accelerate positive impact through soul-centered collaboration among those who share this optimistic vision of us all being our highest selves. Yeah, that's that one.
I love listening to that because it warms my heart. It warms my heart because I know you. And you are now reflecting the person I met months ago. And I think that's magnificent. You have just read what I say I want to be able to do for people, that I want them to be able to read and to write what you just wrote about themselves without being clouded by the past.
So to be truthful about themselves.
Yes.
Know who they are.
Yes.
Yeah. I dug into over a long period of time. It's like soul searching and going and finding out what matters to me and stuff, and looking back on my story and what was most important about it. Why did I make decisions I did, and so on, right? And then like honing it down and shortening it and continuing to focus on what I actually enjoy doing and doing that with people, and then reflecting back on it again and prioritizing out of that, like what's
Yes.
most important. So over and over, I did that.
That's beautiful. You know what's even better is that as you make this beautiful foundation for the future by making that statement to yourself and for yourself, it's unbelievable the miracles and the velocity that things will change in, because it's a liken. Yes. It's a liken to the United States with technology. All of a sudden you have this technology and it just, everything was sped up, and we've been sped up with a lot of mental and emotional blocks. And now we have to speed up spiritually to unblock all that stuff.
I'll be right back. Yeah, there's more to life than increasing its speed, for sure. Like
Yes.
when I was with my dad this summer, helping him get ready for the winter. And a cool thing was he loves Jerusalem artichokes, and I never had tried them before. And so then harvesting the Jerusalem artichokes with him and learning about that, and then tasting them and all that, that was pretty cool. And that's what I said that day when I was like digging them up with him. There's definitely more to life than increasing its speed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what I have is this is another story. So there's more words here. There's more words there than the other one. This one is about nature. It's something that has spun off from the first Soul to Soul talk, which was with Alicia Power, soul mentor. So like my dad, I believe that we are a part of nature. When I was 4, we spent the winter. We were camping all over Mexico throughout the winter, like 6 months, and I loved it. In 2016, I started getting sick of the big city that I lived in, and I was diagnosed with pneumonia. And I was sick in bed for a couple of weeks. I wanted to get closer to nature again, so I made a change. I quit my job and I let go of my apartment and I put my stuff into storage. And I flew on New Year's Eve to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It's a couple hours from here. And I spent the next 5.5 months in a peaceful and beautiful beach town. That's where I am right now. Swimming, hiking, bodyboarding, pretty much every day. And instead of being 26 floors up, surrounded by traffic, I could now just walk out my back door right there, walk down the stairs, and then I could feel the grass with my bare feet. I could see the jungle from my, like here from this room, and also from the balcony. And it's just a 10-minute walk to the beach with the softest feeling sand around. When I returned to Canada, I stayed with my dad for the summer, camping on his land, even closer to nature than I was when I was living here in Mexico. There's something special about sleeping in a hammock under the stars, surrounded by fir trees. And now I'm back in Mexico for the winter. Again, I'm very glad that I made this change. Nature is inspiring, and its vibration is perfect. It's peaceful, and it helps us become more resourceful, creative, and intelligent. Too many of us have become addicted to technological distraction. That's why I encourage people to get out in nature more often and cease the mental chatter and receive immense inspiration.
Beautiful. You said it all. You said it all. I mean, we're all these beautiful natural beings, and we put ourselves into artificial places with artificial things. And they have their value, but we have more value. And that's the whole point, that we are primary and we cannot become secondary to things. And once we become primary to ourselves and to what we feel and who we are, and being the best we can be, there's nothing better. There's nothing more natural, nothing more easy, nothing more simple. And we just got to get everything out of the way. And it's in our heads. All the thoughts and stuff that we clutter our minds with. We have to find a place And, I have these great files in my head. I have the file cabinets. Everything is neatly put away. I don't lose anything by coming into nature. I have the file cabinets, and if I need some business form, I know where to go get it. But it's put away. It's put out of sight, out of mind
You
now.
can free your mind, right? You don't have to have all these things you're thinking about. I have to do this. I've got to do all these things today. I have to get back by this time. All those kinds of things cause stress.
Yes. You throw them in a cabinet, they'll come when they're necessary. I think the biggest joy I get is I've been playing a game with the universe all my life about time. And it's our thoughts and our belief system that create it. So I decided I'm going to put my scheduler away. I mean, we're going back years, decades ago.
Oh, okay.
And let's see what happens. So I'll say, okay, and I've done it with you also. I'd say, make an appointment, make a time, and I'll be there. And I'll write it down somewhere, and I just let it go. It's written down. When the day starts, I can look at it. I know what's going on. And, well, what if there's a conflict? Or what if 3 people want you to do the same thing at the same time? Well, I'll let the universe decide where I'm going to go. And it never fails that if somebody says 9 o'clock on Monday morning, and I already had 3 people 9 o'clock on Monday morning, 3 people will cancel out, and the one person I was supposed to talk to is the one that's going to come through.
Oh, and yeah, that's a good point. That's really great. Yeah, because sometimes people don't show up, and so there was no conflict anyway.
Right. There was no I made it a conflict. Oh my God. No, I let the universe decide my schedule. And it's our rule now. The universe knows. I'll schedule it, but if you need something else comes in and it's more important for me to be with that person, get rid of the others and we'll reschedule them. And the one that is really needed to talk to will be given my undivided attention. Mm-hmm. And trying to live in the moment is easy because you're not thinking about what happened in the past and you're not looking at the schedule for the future. You're living in the moment. Mm-hmm. And the moment that you designate, like I designated this time to have my moments with you. Mm-hmm. It's designated, it's done. Mm-hmm. It's easy.
And I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
And talking about what you mentioned a little while ago, like in your response to that story, people are meant to be loved and things are to be used, right? And so because we've got it twisted, that's what's messing things up. We got to go back to the real reason for things.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know why it just clicked in my head now, but the belief system that somebody is different, better or not better, this judgment of others is probably the most crucial dagger that we could put to our hearts, because we are all just as beautiful with just as great a purpose as being here. We're all trying our best to do it. We've been given different talents and not given different talents so we could learn different lessons. And people judge other people by what lessons they chose to learn.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way. And that's so ridiculous. Everybody's in a different school, a different level, a school, different classroom, different grade. And how could you look at a 2-year-old and say, oh, you're less than me because you're only a 2-year-old and you're only in kindergarten or nursery school. And I'm a graduate with all these degrees, you know. Well, right. Honey, you're in the same school. and that child is probably learning at a faster, more beautiful level than you are at this point because you're doing that judging.
Right. And you used to be too.
Yeah, it's like if you take away the judging of others, how much more time you have for yourself.
Absolutely. And also there is nothing except ourselves because we're all one. So all these other people are reflections of ourselves. And that's right. Like Was it you that said that yesterday? You were born with that. I think you said that. Yeah, I think that was really powerful. Like you said, you were born with that knowledge, and so then you can see that. And so we're only always helping ourselves. Like
Yes.
that's why when we help other people, it's ourselves too, because they're just reflections of us. And so
And that's why we get that satisfaction. We get the greatest satisfaction of helping others. But we don't realize that we're helping ourselves. That's the bigger satisfaction of that. We're learning from that. We're giving to ourselves. And so it's funny because you could take any great philosopher or religious leader or any person or even grandma down the road, and any words of wisdom that they've given, it all becomes ahas. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the way it was meant to be. That's the way it really is. And it's so simple.
To what you just said, that reminded me of Rennie Gabriel. I talked with him yesterday, and we're going to do a soul to soul talk soon. He's going to talk about the three secrets of the wealthy, because he became wealthy. He had 2 divorces, and also found himself broke at age 50 and had to pick up bottles to feed his family. And decided, never again, right? He's become wealthy, and he gives 100% of the proceeds from his book sales and coaching and programs and stuff to Shelter for Soldier. And I asked him about that. I was like, do you find that the more you give, the more you receive? And he said, yeah, the bigger checks that I write to them, the better I feel.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. And it's true. Once you've walked the long road and the path and you've gotten down what you shouldn't do and what doesn't work, you finally realize who you are and what does work. And totally. That's beautiful.
Totally.
Simply beautiful.
Okay. So we've done the thing with those stories. So what was something that was very difficult in your life which has taught you a lesson, that you've learned something from it? You can now look back on it as a blessing, maybe.
I have to say, everything that was somewhat not easy became a beautiful blessing or a miracle or a gift. So I can only look at them equally in the lesson. I learned a lesson from it. But the most profound, I think, would be cool.
Definitely.
I don't know, like being in the wheelchair for 7 years and getting out of the wheelchair and look at, that's just a little thing, because that was just a physical manifestation. And once I spiritually got it, okay, that's no big deal. I think the more profound things are relationships. Relationships that are not easy. And
relationships that's very important, because for people's happiness, it tends to be the biggest indicator, is the quality of our relationships.
Right.
Thank you for going deep with it, because that's what we like to do. It's supposed to be soul to soul communication.
Yeah. I think it'd be a relationship. And because we're having all kinds of relationships with other people to eventually have the relationship with ourselves. Okay. And so everything we learn in relationship is really about ourselves. And the most difficult relationship, I would have to say, is a couple of years ago, I was taking care of my ex-husband who had Alzheimer's. And so it was for 3 years. I had taken on the energy and the demand, thinking that, okay, if anybody could handle him, I can. We were together for over 30 years. But it was physically, I was told that he would be dying in a couple of weeks. So I took it on thinking it was going to be a couple of weeks. And it ended up being 3 years.
Mhm.
So what happens with that is you really need to separate the you from the relationship. You need to recognize the other side, what that person is, what that person's going through, and not allow it to be part of you. And I know that sounds complicated, but it's kind of like the ability to have an individual who has got physical problems, mental problems, emotional problems, and spiritual problems, and at the same time trying to remain steady spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally yourself, to be at the center of yourself with the peace and the love you know that's there, while the hurricane, the volcano, and everything else is around you. And I literally could compare it to creating heaven while you're living in hell. I mean, that's how severe the emotional dichotomy was, that he was in fear and in hatred, and of course being the only individual around, and Alzheimer's and all the other things going on with him. He was the poorest image of himself then. So I had to be the best image of myself to be able to stay grounded and at peace. And it was remarkable. It was remarkable. And I think I learned to really create heaven in the middle of hell. And if you were to create, everybody has their own little version of hell. And there was all these different dimensions of it going on while I was trying to be the best I can be.
Mhm.
And
It sounds like it would make you strong. It would give you grit and exercise your imagination, and like it's like mind power, mind over matter, and your
yes,
ability to focus and choose what you focus on, choose your attitude, and to create meaning out of things as well.
perfect wording was choose. And that is the most wonderful gift we've all have as human beings, is that we make the choice. It's our fault, no matter which way you look at it, it's our choice. And so perfect wording, because that's what was my mantra during this time. He made his choices, and he needs to learn what he needs to learn going through what he was going through. I made my choices, and my heart, my soul was going towards the future, towards creating more positive, towards being more soulful, more sentient, aware of my senses and my thoughts and my belief systems. And you have to be very centered in that belief system, and realizing that the angry energy coming towards you is not you. So you just send it love, and you keep it at bay. You keep it at bay. And I think that's really hard for a lot of people, because they're going through struggles or their own emotions, and it is like a volcano erupting, or a flood, or whatever it feels to them. And they need to be able to protect themselves and be who they are at all times, and keep that knowledge that I am a beautiful soul. I come here to learn the lessons. I thank the energy coming towards me to remind me of what I'm trying to polish up and become this beautiful diamond. So I need to be roughed up a bit on the edges to find those facets of myself. And so it was the most profound experience, because I learned who I really am. And you can see the struggles people are going through and actually come to a very hard understanding of. They're not of you. It's not you. It's a portion of you that is off trying to learn something. And it's okay for them to go through what they're going through. It's okay for you to allow them to be themselves. It's okay for them to go through their experience, to have their learning. It's okay for them to achieve their goal as a soul, even though you have no understanding or comprehension why they chose that route. And giving yourself permission not to feel guilty, not to make it part of you. It's not you going through it. You are watching someone go through a learning experience, and this is what they chose. So you can look at them as a remarkable soul who came down to earth, who chose the suffering to learn a lesson to bring back. That's pretty damn cool. But to choose now as a soul not to go through that type of suffering and create a belief system and an engine that can, through positive nature and positive thought forms and positive beliefs. It takes work, but it's a lot easier way to go through heaven on earth instead of hell. Mm-hmm. And so it was profound, and people thought I was crazy, and most people would look at me like, oh, I'd never do that, or that's ridiculous, having your ex come back into your home. In that situation, I didn't think it was weird. I knew I could handle it. I think what's weird is that people don't think they could handle things. They don't have the belief system they could handle things. And I could handle hell, and I could handle the miracles as long as I'm aligned in my own peace, in my own beliefs. So it really boils down to your choice of beliefs. If you choose to keep on believing what your mommy taught you, then you will live her life. If you keep on believing what daddy taught you, you will live his life. And there comes a time where everybody has to sit down and talk to themselves. Well, I said, I believe da-da-da-da, but do I really? No, that was just what was fed to me for 60 years, and I really don't believe that, so let me get rid of that belief. And you can't do that without having the right tools and the right route to follow it, or you could go crazy. Because everybody will go down the rabbit hole. I call it the rabbit hole when you get so stuck in a belief system or an emotion, you keep on spiraling down. You can't find surface. You can't find even ground. You can't find a foundation. You're just digging yourself a hole.
Have you experienced that?
Oh God, yeah. Probably the most when I first had the accident and I was wheelchair bound, and I'm a type A personality who loves to do things and go places, and all of a sudden I had to sit still.
I wanted to, before you go into that, I wanted to wrap the other story up a bit.
Okay, go ahead.
How is your relationship now?
Oh, my relationship now?
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy did pass December of last year. And now I have a wonderful relationship with a new person. I'm living in a home that I call Paradise Found. I'm at peace. I found a beautiful foundation to work from to now go on to the next stage of life. And it was funny because you go through all of that and there's always going to be a reward at the end. That's my belief system. So I chose a belief system that has a reward base, that the most challenging things you could get through it with your dignity and your sentience and your holiness, your soulfulness. If you could get through with it constantly on that, you will be rewarded. And I've been rewarded. And I've been rewarded 100 times. They say tenfold. I say 100, 1,000 times for the energy that it took to do that. And so now I have a foundation, and now I could start working from there.
All right. That's very good to hear. Yeah, you see why I did that, right? Because the story
Yes.
had the
I love how you think.
and what you were learning from it, but then we didn't bring it to the present day yet.
Right.
And I met your partner, right, when we did
Yes.
the horse ride around
Yes.
Scottsdale. Yes. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so shall you continue? You were going into
well, yeah, when I talk about the rabbit hole.
Right. Oh yeah, when we get into a rabbit hole in our mind or something.
Hole.
Like last night, I was in a bit of fear. Maybe it's from eating a bunch of meat. I'm not sure, or eating late. But it was so hard to go to sleep. I was still up at like 4 a.m. I got up at 7 and walked up the mountain, and then I was all sweaty because it's sunny, hot, and humid.
Yes,
it rained last night.
Yeah. I remember.
It's good to get out in nature though and get some exercise.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah.
But the rabbit hole would be when your body is weak, when you're physically weak, you need to get that energy from somewhere else. So you can either fall to I have an excuse why I could be this way. I just got hit by a truck. I just got this, or I just got that. Or you could say, okay, your body is weak. Let me get it going. What can I do inside to make my body heal? And before I got to that point, I was doing it Earth way. The Earth way is you go to a doctor, he gives you medication, you take the medication because you're in a lot of pain, and you live in a zombie world.
Yeah.
And the rabbit hole is when you're so weak, you decide to say to the world, okay, I'll let the world take care of me. Okay, world, take care of me. And the world gives you pills who nullify who you are. So do you want the world to take care of you, or do you want you to take care of you? And the rabbit hole is when you're in a lot of pain and a lot of other things are going on because now you're not working, you don't have money, the money's not coming in, you're responsible for the household, you have 2 kids, you have a husband. What's going to happen now? And so you go down to the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole is the fear. Well, if I'm going to allow the world to take care of me, then I'm going to have to do what? Where do I go? What do I do? Okay, the doctor says to take this medicine, so let me take this medicine. They say, oh, you have to get unemployment now. You got to do this. You got to follow this road. You got to financially settle yourself in receiving money from the community through a program for long-term care or whatever it is they're doing it. And you got to follow all these rules, and your mind gets bottled up with following the path and following the road. And the path is all downhill. It's a rabbit hole. And, if your belief system is that the world decided how it's to be done and they're doing it this way. Okay, I got to apply for this. I got to do this. I go to the doctor's appointments. I got to follow this schedule. I got to see these specialists. I should believe what these doctors are telling me because if I'm really going to go down this rabbit hole, I have to believe in what I'm doing. But I got stuck. I couldn't go down that rabbit hole. I couldn't believe that the doctors were saying what they were saying because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that that's it for my body. No, that's bullshit. That's a belief system. And it became more powerful. I got power going down that rabbit hole because I didn't want to go down it anymore. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't follow this program. It was so counterproductive. It was so counter me.
And counterintuitive. And
yes.
It's always been intuitive. right? So it
Yes.
goes against what you already know. So you're like, I
Right.
can't believe this because it's just a story. Or like, it's when people say this is incurable, like because they've never,
Yes.
maybe they don't have a record of it being cured or whatever.
Right.
Hmm.
It's, I really felt that I was God's gift to doctors to teach them and show them that what they believe and what they think is correct is really wrong, because I was diagnosed with like fibromyalgia. Oh, it can't be cured. Well, screw that. My guides came. I made a medication myself from
Hmm.
desert plants, and I cured myself from fibromyalgia. But you
Hmm.
can't do that,
That's awesome.
You're not going to walk because this is what's going on with you. Screw that thought. No, I can walk. I can believe. I have had more surgeries. I mean, the accident was like minor compared to all the surgeries I've had. And
When you mentioned the thing with the plants, putting the
uh-huh.
plants together, but of course it's guided from an idea, right? And a divinely inspired idea.
Oh, divinely inspired.
Difficulty.
Yes, I was told to go to the desert and pick
But
up a plant and fix it. And yeah.
but I think you'd love a conversation with Maya Sains. I just talked with her yesterday, and she
Uh-huh.
talked about like kind of like blessing plants, and then
Oh,
the
yeah.
the yield was 3 times. So she's saying we don't have to put chemicals on them. We don't need genetic modification. That's really great. And she also modified the weather too.
Yeah.
You needed
Yeah.
it, right? So they got a great yield.
It's beautiful. And this was a simple solution to something. Oh, it's impossible. So being a person seeing miracles all my life, saying this is bullshit. I told doctors, I
Yeah,
know you believe what you think you know, but I'm going to tell you that you're wrong. And then when I
that's
walk
good.
into them and they look at me and they're just aghast. Well, I remember I went to a doctor. I had tumors. Oh, it's got to be cancer because it's so big. I says,
Oh,
no,
we
it
should do a self-healing episode or something. Those will probably spin off into a whole bunch of them. But like Linda
doesn't.
has a story too, and she's been telling me about curing her diabetes because they say that's incurable. And so
It's
she got herself
everything.
off medication or off insulin, and now it's getting off medication. But yeah,
Now,
I should
yeah,
connect you for a conversation on this too.
yeah, and the other it goes back to Mommy and Maya Robot, because we program ourselves to believe what doctors tell us and what
Yeah.
they say is true. Okay, but we also thought the world was flat. So take it from there on belief systems. Okay,
Mm. Oh, I
the
have another one too. I found someone else on Facebook, and they were talking about, I forget what the words were, but then I said, oh yeah, yeah, definitely stop experimentation on people. Like I said, I had pneumonia, like that's what they diagnosed me with, and I took the antibiotics that they gave me, and I did, no, normally it's supposed to heal it pretty quickly. So they kept giving me them and tried a different one or like a stronger one and stuff. So it was like 30 days. I didn't get rid of it. I came here to Mexico. I was like, screw it, right? Just got to have like better diet and get exercise, get lots of sunshine and all that. So
and it's
I'm just
done, right?
ignoring what was happening there because that can cause long-term side effects that are negative if you take the.
Exactly. And it's the choice not to take the pills. It's a choice to find another way to heal yourself, and it's through belief system.
Mhm. Oh,
And
and
so,
when I shared that little thing, I said I got experimented on twice because it was that with the antibiotics, and another
yeah,
time I went back with the lungs, and they did a thing just to test the volume, but like they did this volume test and then gave me like a puffer, like
uh-huh,
people that
uh-huh.
have asthma or something. So they did the puffer and then wait 10 minutes and then do the volume test again. I don't know what that is. That looks like an experiment, and maybe it's to see if you like maybe they want to sell you the puffer stuff. But anyway, so I didn't bother following up on that, but it just seemed like another experiment. So I just wrote, I got experimented on twice and it didn't cure me at all. And then
Yes.
and she wrote this big story, which I didn't have time to read because of
Uh-huh.
other things. So I'm going to look at it. But I'm going to talk with her because I think she can bring a healing story because she's gone through so many things, she said, and healed herself.
Mm-hmm.
All
And
this
the whole
crazy
thing
stuff.
is it's interesting that you chose the word experiment. That's all doctors do. They do not know. They just have certain information and they experiment until they figure out what the solution is. And they might have found out that in the past, for 50% of the people, it worked, but that was their belief system that allowed it to work.
Oh yeah. Well, the placebo effect is very strong. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
when I look
Please
back,
continue. Sorry for interrupting your.
no, I love it. I love it, but it's true. And but I knew it's hard. I knew when I was going to doctors what they thought and what their belief system was. And I knew that my belief system was totally different. And the difference is being a Puerto Rican New Yorker, I have no problem telling them straight to their face because I didn't have this belief system that because they took 8 years to become a doctor, that they knew it all. And so I never look at anybody more equal than anyone else, that we're two equal people trying to solve something. And so when they would come with this energetic power of, I know more than you and you should do, I came back with, I'm sorry, but I know this, and let's decide what we can do. So it's the belief system that people have that doctors know it all, or scientists.
I believe as you believe.
Yeah.
I don't believe in external authority. I believe in the internal authority.
Right, and it's so much more
Think,
powerful and
you got to
beautiful,
think for yourself.
loving. Oh yeah. So I think that that one belief system is probably what's powered me through my life.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that it's internal. I have all these artificial organs and parts of my body that I replaced when they took other pieces out. I said, okay, they're taking it out, but I need to replace it so I don't have all the ill effects of not having it. So gallbladder and whatever, spleen, appendix, I have fake ones. I have etheric ones in my body. So I don't feel the effects of not having the physical one in my body.
Oh.
And people say, oh, what do you mean by that? I have a belief system that the energy that we create, that engines our bodies or whatever, we could create an energy that stays in your body to replace something that was removed. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be walking. If I didn't believe I could create my own knee or my own kneecap, I wouldn't be walking. And then even with the surgeries they've given me, it's, well, you won't be able to do this. You might not be able to do that after the surgery, but I'll be able to do it after the surgery because I have a different belief system.
Yeah, it totally depends what you believe.
Yes.
We create ourselves.
Yes.
We become what we think about most of the time, believingly. Yeah.
Exactly. And if we think all the time that we're loving souls to give the best of who we have to the person who is present in our situation right now, at every moment in time, we don't have time to think about the future or the past because we're concentrating all our energy in the present.
That's a great philosophy, I think, or way of living.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm human. I don't do it all the time, but I do it most of the time consciously. I consciously try to remember those words. I constantly talk to myself. I think it was funny. My grandmother told me when I was young, and this too shall pass. Or where you are, I was. Where I am, you will be. That was a biggie. I was only a little kid. What do you mean? You were young, and yeah, I will be old. But it meant so much more than that. It meant so much more than that. So that's a lot of food for thought.
Absolutely. I was going to say thank you for sharing these heartfelt stories that are very meaningful to you and all the wisdom today.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. And I love it because your energy and the way you think aligns me in a way that most people maybe understand me for the first time. So I really appreciate that in you. I really do.
Oh, you're saying that you're saying communicating with me could help people understand you?
Oh yes,
Oh,
because
that's
just the way you logically look at things and organize it. I don't look at it the same way. And when you bring us back to let's end that thought, let's conclude it. It's
yeah,
great.
that story, where did it go? Because it
Yeah,
was
right,
only because stories have these certain parts to them, and so it
right.
didn't come to the present. Yeah.
And so that's something that you see and you feel right away, which is fantastic because I'd be flying off into another direction, if you weren't there to guide me. So, yeah, you have a lot of wonderful, beautiful gifts that work well.
Oh, thank you. Well, so do you. Thank you for always being an inspiration.
Oh, thank you, hon. And I will be talking to you whenever it's scheduled.
Yeah, we haven't scheduled yet. Well, we should end our
Whatever.
episode and then we can schedule it.
Okay, beautiful.
So I welcome people to connect with Eva and reach out and talk with her.
Yeah. And you could give them my number and my address and my email. I'm open anytime they need me. I will be available. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Well, then when I post this, I'll just put that info with it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Enjoy your day.
You too. Okay.
Okay.
Everyone enjoy. Oh,
Okay.
well, don't go away though, because
Okay.
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 See you next time on another Soul to Soul Talk. And thank you so much, Eva, for doing this with me. I'm
Thank you.
actually going to post this one before any of the other ones. I'm going to put it onto Facebook right away. And the website is still being built. Okay.
Thank you.